I've got a letter here from an attorney for the Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights, that I've been asked to read because there is a real risk in America today of actually showing up in person and declaring how you feel about the illegality. And I think it's of a piece of what Lauren was describing, this climate of fear that is now a tool of government. They used to answer to us, right? And now we have to answer to them. I think they got it backwards.
Yeah.
And the last line of that email, I mean, it's almost a mob boss tactic, right? Nice school district you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. And so I'm going to read this letter, but I want you to understand the context, which is, and this note was just handed to me, the federal government on March 6th closed the Cleveland office for the Department of Education Office for Civil Rights. Almost 50 people lost their jobs, impacting a caseload of over 1,100 civil rights cases.
Jeez.
So I understand that, look, it's easy for me to show up. I have a platform that makes hay out of telling the truth about Donald Trump. But if you're one of these civil servants whose livelihood depends on what used to be, a government that let you do your job, and now is after you for doing your job, that's why I have to read this letter. Thank you to everyone who has played a role in organizing this event. This statement concerns the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights, specifically the Cleveland Field Office. Our office has long been entrusted with the duty to investigate violations of federal law by educational institutions ranging from preschool through college that receive federal funding. Some of the most common laws we are tasked with enforcing protect individuals from discrimination on the basis of sex, race, age, and disability. Regrettably, the systemic erosion of our role as an effective law enforcement body began in earnest this past January. At that time, all attorneys and investigators in all OCR offices were instructed to pause all ongoing investigations and refrain from any communication regarding these cases with either complainants or the schools involved. While such pauses are not uncommon during a presidential transition, the delay in resuming our work extended well beyond the usual time frame, lasting until the end of February. Even then, only cases involving disability discrimination were permitted to proceed, leaving the majority of our caseload unaddressed. It was not until March 6th that we were informed the pause on all cases would be lifted. A subsequent memo from Secretary McMahon conveyed her, quote, looking forward to working with us all. But only days later, on March 11, we received an email notifying us that all offices would need to vacate by 6 p.m. for security reasons. The email further instructed that all staff would telework on March 12th, with in-person work to resume on March 13th. Yet at 7:40 p.m. that same evening, we were informed that the Cleveland office, along with those in Philadelphia, Boston, New York, Chicago, Dallas, and San Francisco, would be abolished. Many of the individuals affected by this decision had dedicated their entire careers to ensuring that children facing unlawful discrimination were afforded the opportunity to continue their education. Some of the children we served were deprived of their right to attend school altogether due to the very discrimination we fought to eliminate. The truth is, the remaining offices simply do not have the capacity to manage the influx of cases now being transferred to them. Prior to the closure of 7 of the 12 offices, each attorney and investigator was responsible for approximately 50 cases, already a heavy burden. The remaining staff will now be tasked with handling more than 140 cases each. Moreover, the logistical challenges of conducting in-person interviews, assessing compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and facilitating mediations will become insurmountable, if not financially prohibitive. In addition, it appears that the administration has also reduced the number of human resources and IT support staff, further hampering our ability to perform our essential duties. The hardship faced by those who have lost their jobs, as well as the additional strain placed on those who remain, cannot be overstated. This is not an attempt to save taxpayer dollars. Rather, it is a denial of the vital services that children who have a right to an education free from discrimination so desperately need. What the administration has done here does not serve the public good, but instead robs children of their fundamental rights. Senator Moreno, Congress enacted Title IX, the ADA Title VI, requiring that our office enforce these critical protections in educational institutions. By neglecting to address the abolition of the office tasked with ensuring compliance with these laws in Ohio and Michigan, you are not only failing in your duty to the people of Ohio, but also neglecting your responsibility as a member of a co-equal branch of government. I urge you to address this issue and make certain that the students of Ohio remain safeguarded from unlawful discrimination. Sure. Our next speaker is Representative Juanita Brent of Ohio House District 18. She is in her 4th term and is honored to represent the new district of House District 18. Currently, she serves as ranking member of the Agricultural Committee. Previously, she served as the president of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus and one of the founders of the Black Maternal Health Caucus. She is the author of House Bill 285, established driver's license reinstatement fee debt reduction program, now a law that helps thousands of Ohioans have a pathway to removing suspended driver's licenses. Wow. Prior to becoming a legislator, Representative Brent sat on the Board of Trustees for the Harvard Community Services Center and the Lee Harvard Community Development Corporation. She brings this experience of building and organizing strong communities with an emphasis on justice and equity to her work in Columbus. Please welcome Representative Juanita Brent.
Perfect. So there's a handout that's going out because I am still old school. Who doesn't like a good piece of paper to go? Somebody's going to be mad at me because they'll be like, the rep is passing out papers and it's bad for the trees. But today we all have something to learn. This is our state. Yeah. And when we are dealing with this, the problems that we are seeing on the federal level are not just happening on the federal level. They're like, the state of Ohio is like the little kid brother of what's happening on the federal level. It's like a total reflection. So when we're talking about making cuts to healthcare when it comes to Medicaid, we're talking about making sure that now that people are going to have work requirements, it's going to affect 770,000 people because they're telling your kids that might be going through a time of transition, they might be in rehab or other type of services, now they have to go to work. Now, don't tell on yourself, but how many of us know somebody that's been in rehab? If you haven't, you probably knew somebody that was in rehab, but probably didn't know they was in rehab, or maybe he was in rehab. But a lot of us know someone that needs those services. 770,000 people. So many nonprofits such as the YWCA, our United Way, are concerned about these cuts that are going to be happening. They're not going to know how they're going to support people who are in this transition, because those are the bootstraps that people need. People keep on talking about the bootstraps. These cuts that are being made are literally the bootstraps. So another bootstrap that just happened today. What happened today, everyone? So the Department of Education is getting gutted from the inside out. And so guess who was there clapping, looking all cheesy and stuff? Governor DeWine. Come on. And this is why I say, like, him and Moreno are like two peas in a pod. Two peas in a pod. They clapping. One's there on the federal side to represent us, to dismantle the Department of Education, which we know we make sure that our kids with special education needs receive those services, and make sure that kids who are low income receive services, and make sure that people who need student loans receive those loans. And this man is clapping. He has 8 children. One that's a whole Supreme Court justice. I know there were some loans in that family somewhere along the way. There's a lot of kids. And so if our governor is there to support that, what do you think our state budget is looking like?
Much worse. Ugly.
So we have a real problem on our hand. I'll just start off at the beginning that 2025 is the year of organizing. And as we are getting together, we are going to have to sacrifice our time, our resources, sometimes even a little bit of our sanity to make them feel uncomfortable. He's target number 1. Because he is becoming the leader for everybody else. It's the president, and him, and then the minions. So when he's clapping to get rid of the Department of Education, you know what Ohio did? Well, we're not gonna do fair school funding anymore in the state of Ohio. And so what's happened is that our budget for our schools are getting cut. Has anybody heard about our cuts that's happening right now in our state budget? Cleveland Municipal School, you might not ever live in Cleveland, but you should be concerned. If this budget passes, 7 schools are gonna get closed down. Shaker Heights, they're gonna lose 2 schools. Orangeville Heights is gonna lose 1 school. East Cleveland is gonna lose 3 schools. They only have 4 schools. So they're gonna merge them into one big building. And so when we see what's happening on a federal level, it's gonna get even worse in our communities. Here within the state of Ohio, can somebody guess how much we are putting towards vouchers? $1 billion. Actually, it's gonna be more than that. It's gonna be pushing, by the time we get done, we're gonna be close to $2.5 billion in vouchers. Most of these kids that are getting the vouchers never even step foot into our public schools. They're taking away the bootstraps. They always tell us, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. The bootstraps is having access to education. And if you don't have those bootstraps, how can you ever be part of the middle class? Target number 1.
You're not going to talk to teachers into going into a school that has 8,000 kids in it.
Exactly.
Who's going to want to go in and be in the hallways with 8,000 kids?
I agree.
I mean, you're paying teachers $45,000 a year when they get out of college, and you want them to go into an inner city school full of kids like that? You're not going to have teachers. You're going to need cops.
It's going to be rough. When we did have our State of the State address, which was about a week ago, the governor, he was like, thank you to the teachers of the year. And he pointed to them, and they stood up, and everybody started clapping for him. And I was like, this is a whole joke. Because in our budget, just like you said, we are not paying teachers a decent wage.
They got school loans. They just got out of college.
Exactly. And because with the dismantling of the federal Department of Education, what do you think has happened to those student loans?
They're going to double the price. That's what's going to happen to them.
So you had the governor praise him at the State of the State address, but then he's there to clap for the Department of Education to be dismantled. Now people will not have access to student loans. What teachers are you expecting to be here? Anywhere. We have so many people right here in this room that are probably still paying for student loans. Your children have student loans. Your child may be considering going on. And so we think about FAFSA. That's the first form that a lot of times parents fill out when you're thinking about your child going to school. What is that going to look like? Let's fill out the FAFSA. Let's get your tax information so your child can be able to go to school. What are we going to do about sending our kids to school? Your kid said he wants to be an engineer. Now you have to get a private loan. But you've already pulled out that second mortgage on your house. Your credit is not where you would like for it to be, so you can't even co-sign for that loan for your child. But you're making ends meet. You know, you still have your house, you still have your car, but you're not in a position to get the loans out for your child. 2025 is just about organizing. So when we have a senator that cuts us at our bootstraps, you should take it as a personal threat to the dismantling of the middle class. And so I think we did not take summer 2024 seriously enough. I don't think we took it seriously enough. I think we were comfortable and everybody was like, people not gonna do all of this. And people did. So now we're gonna have to get organized. I was very entertained I was sitting there just in the back just kind of reading Moreno's Twitter. And I sometimes try to mute him sometimes. Because I'm gonna just tell you honestly, when he first got into office, he sent a message to all of us state reps and say like, hey, y'all Democrats, since you did not support me, don't expect anything from me. So I've gone through 7 years with our previous Senator, Sherry Brown, who handwritten notes. Anybody got a personal note you ever got from the senator?
Yeah.
Send handwritten notes when he would talk to you, make sure his constituent service people followed up with you, to a person on day one say, hey, you're a Democrat, don't ask me for nothing.
Whoa.
And I was like, is this serious? This is an attack on the middle class
Yes.
of having access. So I'm just say some things just for entertainment purposes, but this really came off his Twitter. So it's entertainment for us, but it's reality at the same time too. So we look at what people do, and you can look at my social media, the good ones. I'm gonna just say our Senator, Nikki Antonio, who's in the back, who's gonna talk. She's one of the good ones. When people are in the community, they show up. If you look at his Twitter feed, he is not showing up in our community at all. But I'm gonna talk to you about what he put on his Twitter. February 12th, he talked about English is our official language. Now, it's a lot of smart people in this room. Some people smarter than me, probably a lot of people smarter than me. Do we have official language in the United States? Oh, okay, that was February 12th. I'm just making sure. I just had to check. And February 21st, he said, I am building up he said Trump is building up the most diverse cabinet. Now, I was always told not to call people liars. Weren't you told that? You were told not to call people liars, especially people with big titles, so I'm not gonna call him a liar. But if you wanna call him one, you can. Exactly. And so also, he puts out his first bill to ban foreign flags on the Capitol. Now, I don't know everything, and just you could have your own opinion about foreign flags. Thank you. Support the Ukraine. Thank you. I didn't pay her to do that either. She just did.
None of us are getting paid tonight.
Nobody. But he has a flag for Israel on his door at his office. This office is at the Capitol. But he has a bill to get rid of that. And so it's like a monkey see, monkey do type of thing. So then I have a colleague at the State House who tells us, well, I want a bill to get rid of foreign flags here at the State House too. Why? What flags are we flying up? But this is the state of events that we are going through. And so 2025 is about organizing and telling people when stuff is not true and calling people on their stuff. Everybody. I brought this up for everyone to look at just real quick because the state of Ohio is looking like a small version of Trumpism. We don't have to go far, we don't have to do much. We're experiencing it right now. And I'm not gonna go through all of this, but I'm just gonna highlight a couple quick things, and I'm gonna bring it over to my good sister, Senator Nikki Antonio. One of the things I just mentioned was about the school funding. That's a problem. Dismantling it on the federal level and then the defunding it on the state level. We're gonna have areas within the state of Ohio that will not have schools. I mean, we're going a whole step back. And people, when I tell people that, they cannot believe me, because they're like, how are we living in this wonderful country, in theory, but possibility of losing our schools? But at the same time, within our budget, we're about to be paying for 2 football teams. But we can't pay for school funding. We want to dismantle school funding. But we're about to put $1 billion towards football teams. And $2.5 billion towards school vouchers. But we can't fund public schools. And this is what you guys have to think about as we talk about the dismantling of the Federal Department of Education. Private and charter schools do not have to accept everybody's child. So if our state is defunding public schools and you do not have a public school for your child to go to, where do you go? And I mean, somebody said homeschool, but that's me, you have to be at home. Who's gonna make the money? So all of this stuff is all together. So when he doesn't want to answer our calls, when he wants to send us a generic response, because the same response that you guys are getting is the same response he's giving me. It's the same response. 2025 is about organizing.
Yeah.
We have a time within the state of Ohio where everybody's vehicle registration is about to go up by $20. You're gonna be like, why is my vehicle registration going up by $20? Because within the state of Ohio, we are not using our general revenue funds to pay for the highway patrol. So instead of the highway patrol having money from a guaranteed source, they're just gonna increase your vehicle registration. And somebody's like, well, I support the police, and I do too. But I say this, Ohio has a full rainy day fund. Our rainy day fund is full. We're cutting money for schools. We're giving money to 2 football teams. We're giving money to vouchers. And then you come to the highway patrol and say, well, we paid for all this, but you gotta get your money from the car registration. That's what we're doing here in Ohio. It's on the backs of the middle class. So everything that this one is doing and the ones here in Ohio is doing is to dismantle the middle class. And that's how you have to start thinking about it. That you dismantle education, you increase the vehicle registration, and someone's like, well, $20 and $10 is not that much, I can do that. That stuff starts adding up. For some of y'all kids, that's coffee for a week. I know they're asking y'all for $5 to go to Starbucks. So read this good information that's going on. If you're concerned about your electric bill, First Energy is having, the PUCO is having hearings about First Energy. You know, we had that whole $1 billion, scam. It was not even a bailout, it was a scam. They're trying to go up on our electric bills. If you would like to testify for that, please show up. They're assuming that you're not going to show up for these hearings. Here, you can have this. Would you like one too? I got some extra here.
I put it in the mail. We got more.
But 2025 is a year of organizing, and I want you guys to just do a favor for me real quick. I sent out a great state house update. I could be a little biased. So it was 2 pages. There's 2 pages together. Give her the other page.
I got this.
No. Those 2 pages go together.
There's 2 pages.
Yes, 2 pages. She was being really nice. So I do send out a state house update, and I'll sit down, that gives you action calls, inside information, whatever else is going on. When we were having the vote for Senate Bill 1, I sent out an email out to people Thursday night that the vote was going to be on Wednesday. Because I'm there. I'm having dinner with Chairman Young. He likes to rap. He thinks I like to listen. And so I listen to his rap, and he tells me like, hey, we're having a committee here on Wednesday. I was like, Fitz, send out a memo, let all the activists know that there's going to be a vote for Senate Bill 1. So if you would like to sign up for my State House update, it comes out every Monday with action calls and bills to watch. You can text me real quick. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. It is 216. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on, start walking up here, Senator. You up next. It's 216-413-8932. So send your email address and your first and last name, and then we can sign you up for the State House update.